Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
This is A Different Perspective with Kevin Randle. A retired U.S. Lieutenant Colonel, Kevin Randle has been studying UFOs for nearly 50 years. Kevin has investigated some of the most famous UFO cases in the world and has been consulted for dozens of documentaries about UFOs. Considered one of the leading experts into the Roswell UFO crash of 1947, Kevin has written more than 25 books about UFOs, including the recently published Roswell in the 21st Century. Now, here is the host of A Different Perspective, Kevin Randle.
Well, thanks for that wonderful introduction that I've never heard before. Just thought I'd mention that. Before I bring Calvin Parker on, whom I promised last time I would hopefully have for the program, I want to make a couple of comments about our last show with Christopher Montgomery. Those of you who thought I was extraordinarily mean to him, I wanted to point out that A, he was saying things about me that were not true in both the X-Zone radio program hosted by Rob McConnell and in his own book, and I thought it only fair that I addressed those sorts of things. I did send him an email the following day and suggested that maybe we should finish the program because he had hung up early. He said no, he hadn't hung up, that it was disconnected, but we know that the disconnect, it was not a service interruption, it was a disconnection at his end. So I was going to bring him back on and let him discuss that last week. But after his initial excitement about this and his saying that he needed to read a statement on the air and that he would, and he wanted all the questions forwarded to him, I said, no, you'll read no statement. And I sent him a long list of stuff. Never heard from him again. So I thought I would just mention that. But the point of it was he thought it was unfair of me to attack his book, shred his book. But if you go through his book and you listen to some of the things he'd said in the past, you realized all I was doing was responding to what he'd said about me, things that I knew were not true. And if he claimed to have sources saying they were true, then his sources were wrong. Anyway, that's in the past. This week we're going to talk to Calvin Parker. On October 11th, 1973, 19-year-old Calvin Parker and his friend, 42-year-old Charles Hickson, and I'll mention here that I did speak to Charles Hickson a couple of times, were spending a frustrating evening fishing on the Pascagoula River in Mississippi in the early evening, both men were startled when a strange craft descended and hovered a few feet above the ground and just a few yards from their location. Before they had any chance to run, an opening appeared in the craft and out floated three humanoid creatures. Although humanoid might not be quite right because it seemed like the legs were fused together, but that's just a matter of semantics, I suppose. Both were absolutely terrified when these creatures grabbed them and took them aboard the craft. On the craft, both men were subjected to an examination. Minutes later, both Parker and Hickson were dropped back onto the riverbank, and the craft departed. Taking off in their car, the two terrified witnesses eventually located a public telephone, and a short time later, they were being interviewed by the local sheriff's office. The two told their story of their close encounter. The next day, all hell broke loose as the press descended on the unsuspecting Mississippi town. Parker, seriously disturbed by these events, and I certainly understand that, has largely remained in the background without ever detailing the full account of what happened that night, how it affected him and his life and other close encounters he has had experienced down the years. Now, for the first time, Parker will tell his story in his book, The Closest Encounter, and he'll probably tell part of it today. On the record, the book features for the first time the full transcript of Calvin Parker's hypnotic regression session with the late Budd Hopkins. Calvin Parker, welcome to A Different Perspective.
Thank you. Enjoy being here today. Beautiful day.
Not here, it's not, but maybe it is there.
Oh, really? 80 degrees here, 75 degrees, really.
Yeah, it's rainy and dark and drizzly here.
Yeah.
Gave you a bit of an introduction here about your experiences. Anything you'd like to add to that about what happened specifically that night?
Well, it's really a lot that we could add to it. You know, we got where we was abducted, and then the after effect where we was at the sheriff department, the secret tapes and all that. But
by secret tapes, what do you mean secret tapes?
The sheriff department had put when they was interrogating us, they separated us, put us in two different rooms. And then they put us in one room, and little did we know there was a tape recorder in this room where they was taping our conversations, trying to catch us, you know, laughing or saying that this was a hoax or something. But little did they realize, you know, this is what really convinced them that this was true, because they could hear the fear, and we was talking to each other. And, you know, you could hear the fear in both our voices and all. And that's when they really got convinced that something did happen. They didn't ever state, or we didn't ever say what happened, but they said something happened.
So you were interrogated by the local law enforcement.
We were.
Did they contact, was it Jim Harder and Alan Hynek who came down to Pascagoula?
Well, what had happened, it hit the media the next day. Now, we had asked them to keep it quiet, but apparently they had scanners or something. The media didn't listen in. Well, when we got to work the next day, it was a media frenzy. It was several hundred reporters there at our job. They had to shut down their phones because the phones kept ringing. So something like that, the news traveled to California somehow. It could have been Keesler that contacted them. And Dr. Hynek found out that way, and they flew down. Dr. Hynek and Dr. Harder flew on their own dime down here to give us to talk to us and to give us an examination.
Were Harder and Hynek the first UFO investigators to chat with you?
They were. The rest of it was just like the Air Force and the local sheriff department here. But they was the first real, I guess you would call them uologists or anything, that had come down to talk to us, you know, right after this happened, the very next day.
You said the Air Force. Now, this was 1973, and Project Blue Book had ended 4 years earlier. Was you say there were Air Force people that interrogated you as well?
It was, but, you know, they let us. What happened, they took us to Keesler Air Force Base to check us for radiation. So while they was checking us for radiation, they asked us to go to the back when they found out we was all clear. Well, then that's when they started asking us questions, and it was, several Air Force officials there. So they could have phoned Hynek. Somebody might have known him through that or something. But like you say, Project Blue Book was over way before that.
Well, there were still other official investigations going on that were secret, but Hynek having been the consultant, and Hynek now, I guess, having changed his mind and about to start the Center for UFO Studies, probably heard the story on the news media and came down to chat with you about it.
He probably did. He was really serious when he was down here. I mean, you ever seen just a dead serious guy when he looks you in the eyes, you know that he's looking for the truth? That was Hynek.
What was your impression of Harder?
Harder was a real quiet man, but he was this type that liked facts, and he studied every little fact. He give us a physical exam. He talked to us for our, I guess, our mental thing right there, and tried to hypnotize me. He couldn't hypnotize me, but he did Charlie. And he examined our body for marks, and he's the one that found the first puncture marks on our arms.
And that wasn't something that came out originally, was it? I mean, through the media and anything, that's something that's been kind of hidden from public view?
Well, it was under hat. We really didn't see no need to tell the media, or I didn't. I can't speak for Charlie. He's dead. But I couldn't see no need to tell the media anything, because at that point in my life, I hated the media. They destroyed my whole life.
That opens up a whole nother area of questioning that I don't want to get into right at the moment. I did want to talk to you about the effect on your life as it went on. But I also wanted to get more into what happened on board the ship, or what you could remember about that and how all of that came about. I know that originally you were very reluctant to talk about it, and everything kind of funneled through Charlie Hickson.
Yes, sir. Well, the day that this happened, we had got off work, and he wanted to go fishing, and I did too. So we went to the river where he normally fishes. It's an old shipyard, the Shaw Peters shipyard, that was abandoned. And we were sitting there fishing, and I remember looking across the river at an old steel ship, wondering, it's amazing we build these ships, but how do they float, made out of steel? And that's what I was thinking. And then I noticed some blue lights coming in from behind me, and it looked like a patrol car, because we was actually trespassing on private property. And I was thinking, well, they down here to run us off. But when we stood up and turned around, the light got so bright it just blinded you almost.
Okay, let me interrupt you here, because I'm going to have to take a break.
Okay.
And we'll get back to you and get you on board the ship and explore some of these other things in just a few minutes. For more information later on, take a look at www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com, because there'll be a little bit more information there and some links to other things. I will be back in just a few minutes with Calvin Parker talking about his abduction in 1973 with Charles Hickson. Became kind of the rage of, I guess, the fall of 1973. We will return in just a few minutes.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Well, this is fooling me. I didn't know this was the real bumper music, but I am back. I am Kevin Randle. I am joined by Calvin Parker. I almost said Charles Hickson. My notes in front of me screwed me up there. Calvin Parker, we're talking about his abduction in 1973, and when we left, you were seeing the blue lights, and they were very, very bright. So take it away from there.
So we was facing the river, so we stood up and turned around. That's when the light got bright. And what it was a door opening on this craft that we seen. And there was three figures coming out. And they come out and approached us and got us by the arm and more or less levitated us. Now, I'm speaking for myself because I was in front of Charlie, levitated me, and got us to the door. And I remember looking in here to look at the lights and all, see where they was coming from, but it was coming out of the walls. Looked like it was just glowing out of the paint. And that's the one thing that really stuck in my mind all these years. Then he kind of made a left turn and a right turn. It was one creature that had a hold of me. And they laid me on an examination table at about a 45-degree angle, and there was something about the size of a deck of cards that came down, and it just circled my head. It clicked 4 times on each side, circling my head, and then it went back up into the wall. And that's when the old big ugly creature that had me kind of backed up to the wall, and this other one come out of another little department. Now I couldn't do nothing but kind of roll my head and my eyeballs a little. But it appeared to be a female. And the reason I say that, because it was smaller made and looked more human than, more like a human than what this other one did. This other one was kind of robotic. So.
What I think the description was that the legs were fused together, but it had arms that moved, and it had a kind of a helmet-like head on it with pointed nose and pointed ears or something like that.
Yes, sir. Now, I didn't see Charlie seen the nose and the ears, all it screwed out, pointed out. I didn't see them. My vision was blurred from the way that he had me and all the lights. And
so you're laying on this table now, and you say a smaller entity came out, and it was more human-like. How was it more human-like?
Well, just the features. She had nose, ears, fingers. The other one had like mittens on. Now this one had fingers, but the only difference in her fingers with me is her 2 middle fingers. Her 2 fingers was a little longer. But I later on found out why. She kind of reached over and grabbed me by the cheek and felt my skin. Then she run them fingers down my throat and past that little thing that hangs down in the back and try to come up in my nasal cavities. And I started choking and bleeding. And that scared me. When it did, she just kind of backed out of the way and made a mumbling noise, and that other one come back in.
Now, let me stop you and ask you a question here, because back in 1973, as this was being broadcast or printed about, it said that you had been so frightened you had passed out and you couldn't remember anything that went on the ship. Now, is this something you consciously remembered but refused to tell about, or did this come about after hypnotic regressions?
No, I remembered all along. The deal was when I got off the ship, I had asked Charlie not to tell nobody. I was fixing to get married, had a new job, didn't want to lose it. And I had a lot to look forward to. And I knew if people think that you was crazy or something, and I had a lot drove them think that I was drunk and passed out and everything else, then I had talk about this thing. So I just kept it under hat. I've never talked about it to my family, my friends, my neighbors, nobody, not even my wife knew about. They'd go to asking me something and I'd just clam up and not say nothing.
So the story that you had passed out and couldn't remember anything, that was a cover so that you didn't have to really talk about this, and kind of left the whole, I guess, burden on Charlie to talk about it.
I did, and we had agreed not to talk about it to nobody. But when we left the site, he told me, of course, there was no cell phones back then. He asked me to pull over at a little store, and there was a payphone there. And he got out, and I thought he was going to call his family, but he called Keesler Air Force Base and started telling them what happened. They said they don't deal with this stuff anymore, to call the local sheriff department or Jackson County. And then he called them, and that's what started everything right there. And that got Charlie and I where we wouldn't even speak later on.
Okay, well, let's get back to the ship here, because so you're been examined on the ship. You were choking because of the examination, and the female left, and one of the other creatures came in. Was that the end of the examination, or did something else go on?
No, she kind of communicated with me. I didn't see her mouth move, but it could have. But to me, she telepathically told me, "Don't be afraid." But it was too late to tell me that. Then when that big ugly creature came back in, he grabbed me by the arm, and I felt another injection, and that just kind of settled me down a little till I got back out to the river. He carried me back out to the same spot that he picked us up in almost. My arms was outstretched to the river, and by the time they backed off, the bright lights went out. I was able to turn around. Charlie said, Calvin, you okay, son? And I turned around and looked, and this thing picked up off the ground a little ways and just shot up into the sky like a rocket. I mean, it was so fast that it was hard to see. But the blue lights was still going on, but it just kind of disappeared.
Well, let me ask you, inside the ship, did you see anything else besides just the table you were examined on and the thing that came down and examined you? Were there any evidences of instrumentation or anything else you saw?
No, sir, I didn't. And I did, like I say, I couldn't really move. I could turn my head and look, but I didn't see anything that resemble instruments or a control room or anything like that.
This female creature, I guess I'm still a little hesitant on that. You said that she was smaller than the big ugly guys, and she looked more human. Can you refine that at all?
Well, her skin color and all was real pale. Her eyes, you've seen. Since I've done the book, I've looked, and the people has these aliens with the big eyes. Hers looked normal, just kind of like ours, maybe even a little smaller. But her facial features, she had ears, she had eyes, she had a mouth and nose. And I didn't notice the hair. I didn't notice if she had a hat on or what she had on a cover. But I'm in the process now. I've got an artist, and I'm trying to detail it out to him and let him draw it out so I can release that.
Okay, so how long were you on the ship?
That's really hard to say. We didn't have watches because we worked around steel and had used sledgehammers all day. But just estimating, it looked like about 45 minutes.
When I talked to Charlie Hickson, he said that he had troubles with watches and things like that. He'd put them on and they'd stop or they would break. Did he tell you that, or is that something that was accurate?
Well, he told me that, but the reason why, we worked in a shipyard of ship fitters, and you used a sledgehammer and a cutting torch, and you had them in bad places all day. And I think that was probably the reasons, because I went through a watch while I was there the first day. But, it could be true. It might just be on him.
Okay, so Charlie's first reaction was called Kistler Air Force Base, and they said, which is what they were instructed to say back those days, if you feel threatened, call the local law enforcement. So that's what you did, or what he did. And then he said, let's go to the sheriff's office?
No, actually the sheriff's office sent 2 patrol officers out to where we were. They told him on the phone, do not move. I guess they figured we was drinking or something. They didn't want us on the road. So about 10 minutes, they sent 2 officers out. One of them walked up on my side of the car and looked around a little bit, asked if he could look in the car, and I told him, yeah. Had me step out. He said, now I want you to stand on one foot, bend your head back, touch your nose, and jump up and down. I said, man, I can't do that if I'm sober, much less if I'm drunk. So he just laughed. He said, well, can you walk this line? But I stood on one foot, turned my head back, jumped up and down. And then they didn't have the little breathalyzer test with them until they got us to the sheriff department. He said, well, you're good enough to drive. Follow me to the sheriff department. They checked us for alcohol. And then later on, they did blood work at the hospital that proved we weren't on drugs or alcohol or anything.
Okay. We're going to have to take another break here. The book by Calvin Parker is Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter. And this is, I guess, the first time he's really told the entire tale of what happened during the abduction in October of 1973.
It is.
You can find my books at Amazon.com, of course. Roswell in the 21st Century, a reexamination of the case, and Encounter in the Desert, which is about the Socorro UFO landing, which we had talked about on this program with a number of different people in the past. And as I say, there's always something available at www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com that may point you in a direction to learn a little bit more about this specific case or other things that will interest you. We will be back with Calvin Parker in just a moment. We're going to talk about how this thing affected his life when we come back. So stick around.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by L.A. Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, After the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
And I am back with Calvin Parker. We've been talking about his encounter, the closest encounter of the Pascagoula landing back in 1973. When we went away, I had mentioned that we were going to talk about how this had affected his life, something that Calvin had brought up a little bit earlier. So Calvin, the story comes out, everybody knows about it. What is the impact on you?
Well, the first thing that happened is when we got back to the shipyard, they said we can't conduct business with y'all on the shipyard. Was we lost our jobs, pretty much what happened. And so I went back to Mississippi, and by the time I got back there, my family and all, they was asking about it and all. Told them I didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to say nothing. But it made it hard to find another job like I wanted. My career was settled down to getting married, buying a house, having the same job for 30 years or 50, and retiring and having grandchildren. But none of that worked out because I had to move around. I drifted around in the oil field and construction for years. So, but you know, most of the people that I worked with knew me, and they never really wanted to talk about it. But the press would show up on the job sometime, especially when I was in the oil field and this first happened, and they would actually cost my job because, you know, I wouldn't give them an interview and they'd get mad, and if you did give them an interview, they would change it. It wasn't nothing like you said, so I just didn't talk to them. So
you're suggesting that the media didn't fairly represent what you had said to them about the abduction?
Absolutely not. You know, it was bad enough like it was, but they wanted to add to it and make it worse, I guess, to kind of boost their stories or something. I don't know, but it would have been fine. They just told the truth.
What sort of things would they add? And people, this is not what the story is. It's what was added by the media. So what sort of things would they add?
Well, one of the first things that happened when I got back, I woke up one morning, read the paper where I had a nervous breakdown. They had me locked up in a mental institute. That was so far from the truth. What I was doing, I was getting up and going to work like I normally would. And then they would add to how many creatures it was. You know, instead of 3, one of them had 6 coming up to get us, and just different things like that. Just stuff that was absolutely not true.
But you had a habit of really not talking to the media.
I didn't. No, sir. I wouldn't talk to them. Matter of fact, I had one of them approach me, and I took his camera away and throwed it across the field over there. So
that probably didn't make him happy.
No, and it didn't make none of them happy because you know, where Charlie took the other option, he went on and talked about this and I guess he dealt with it in a different way than what I did.
Well, do you think your age had anything to do with that?
my age had everything to do with it. I still wouldn't have wanted to be interviewed by the media, but at that time I was young and I just didn't know how to handle a lot of people. I didn't have much of any kind of education. And I didn't like most people to start with. I didn't want to be around other people except for the people I work with and my family.
Well, one of the problems with the case, as you probably know, is that for the longest time there was no corroborative witnesses. That nobody had come forward and seen the same thing you did.
Yes.
I understand there's now a woman named Maria and her husband Vernon Blair, and they say that they were on the other side of the river and saw the blue lights. And you've met those people, right?
Yes, sir. I just went down last week and talked to them and got to meet them and all. And, they sound real believable to me. I mean, I'm not here to doubt nobody, but these two, especially her, she's been hiding this for years, said ever since it's happened. And when she met me, she broke down crying over there. And we sat there and talked, and I autographed a book and gave to her. And, we're still in touch a little bit here and there through Facebook.
What did she say she saw?
She was across the river, and she's actually seen the craft and the lights when it set down over there. Now, then she said she had told me that as they was walking to her husband was asleep in the car, and she was walking back to the car. She got out to look. She heard a noise or a splash in the water. Now, I really hadn't talked to her in very much detail about it. It was just a brief meeting we had. But Philip had a lady to interview her in depth, and I'm going to sit down and read.
Philip is Philip Mantle for the audience out there. Philip Mantle. So, how did you learn about her, or how did Philip learn about her? How did she surface?
I actually did the Fox 10 News came down and just filmed a little brief thing on me there. And she made a comment in one of the comment sections. Her daughter had made a comment. Trace made the comment that her mother seen this and had talked about it for years and years and years. Well, Philip Mantle took that and he ran with it because he searches for facts. So he called Trace and found out how to get in touch with her mom, and that's where it all started right there.
Why did she not say anything? I mean, this was national news. Why didn't she come forward before?
Her husband wouldn't let her. He said, everybody's going to think you crazy, and I'm not going to go through that. And he sat out there and admitted that the other day, because I asked her the same question, I've been hunting the truth for over 45 years now. Why didn't you come forward with this? But her husband wouldn't let her.
And so you got in touch to her basically through Facebook then, or through her daughter on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And had she read anything about this case and after it happened? I mean, during the years when it was reported in various books and whatnot, or did she stay away from it?
I don't know. I don't think she did. I don't think she really kept up with it. She told me she's always wondered, what had happened to me, me kind of disappearing and all. But I think the first thing she really read was and I don't think she read the book yet. She might have it now, but was watching the news and started seeing me in the local news down here, because I do a lot of volunteer work around here for the county and all that, and city of Pascagoula, because I felt like I owe them something through the years, just up and disappearing. So, I try to do what they need me to do.
And so she got in touch with you, and she explained she had seen the same craft and the same blue lights, but she didn't see anything. She didn't see you guys being floated into the ship or anything like that, did she?
No, I don't think she did. Like I say, I hadn't read the whole details on it. And there's also other witnesses that came forward. There was a crane operator over at the shipyard said he seen it when it set down. Now, why all these people didn't call the law and send them to my rescue, I don't know. But
Yeah, that's kind of strange. If you've got a bunch of witnesses and this becomes national news, you think the implication would be to phone the news media or somebody and say, yeah, I saw the same thing. But I know with the Socorro case, and my book, Encounters in the Desert, we know of at least 3 different people that saw the craft in the sky before Lonnie Zamora saw it land in Socorro, and none of them have ever come forward. And we can document that based on the reports that were in the Project Blue Book files taken that very night. The 3 people had called the police to say, hey, we saw this thing. Nobody ever followed up on that, which is just absolutely stunning. So when you say to me there were other witnesses and they didn't call the media, I'm not that surprised anymore.
no, but then I got to thinking and wondering about it myself. Back in the 70s, there weren't cell phones available like it is now. Everybody and their kids, 6 years old and up, has cell phones now. Back in, nobody had them because I got one time and it cost me $600 in a week and they had to come take it away from me.
Why did they take it away from you?
Because I didn't pay my bill. They turned it off.
Well, I didn't
thought,
want you to
hey,
have to admit that.
yeah, I didn't talk but very little on it. I figured the more this thing's neat, and I got it. $600 later, I didn't have a phone no more.
So there are other witnesses that you're aware of. Are some of those mentioned in the book?
Not yet. Philip's going to do not write another book, but he's going to do an extension on the book and make a smaller version of it and put all the witnesses in there and even put their contact information in there.
Well, we're gonna have to take another break, and we will return with Calvin Parker and kind of wrap this thing up, see what else we can learn about his abduction back in 1973 and what he did with his life in the intervening years and that sort of thing. Once again, it's www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com, and for those of you interested in the paranormal, of course, there's the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, where you can take a look at other aspects of the paranormal and maybe find some programs that will be exciting to you, and look into the past of my programs, and of course the ever popular X Zone broadcast, X Zone Radio by Rob McConnell, that we always forget to mention. But once again, I will be back here to talk a little bit more with Calvin Parker about his abduction from 1973, so stick around.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
SIMULTV.com, sonny boy.
SIMULTV.com.
SIMULTV.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
SIMULTV.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. SIMULTV.com.
I am back with Calvin Parker. The book is Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter. It's his story. He's telling you about his experiences during the abduction, which he kept quiet about for decades, I guess. So you talked about there are additional witnesses. There's going to be an updated version of the book now that will include some of those witnesses in it with their contact information.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Have you talked to many of these people other than Maria?
I have. I've actually, the one other guy, the crane operator that came forward, I went to a book signing in Pascagoula, and we sat there and talked a long time, and I just kind of blew him off. But he was telling me that he had seen something, but it was a little hard of hearing. So I just, it's hard to talk to somebody like that, for me right now. And then there was another lady there that I had talked to and said something.
But they just saw did they see lights or they see an actual craft?
The crane operator seen the actual craft. Now, I hadn't got the interview back from him yet, but when she gets it done, it's another lady doing them. I'm going to read it and see what all it is to them.
Well, I noticed here that you had done hypnotic regression.
Yes, sir.
With Budd Hopkins.
That's correct.
And Jim Harder had no luck in getting you under into a hypnotic state, apparently, from what you said.
No, sir, he didn't. He tried, but he had to bring me right out.
Did you learn anything more about during the session with Hopkins that you didn't remember consciously? Did anything else come out?
Oh, gosh, yeah. What happened, Bud put a post-hypnotic suggestion in my head that I wouldn't remember any of this till I was able to remember. There was another incident in '93, and it'll take 2 hours to tell you about that. But I didn't remember nothing about it. And then one day, Linda Moulton Howe had read the book. Well, when I done the book, I had mentioned to the publisher, Philip Mantle, that I had seen Budd Hopkins. He tried to hypnotize me, and he never did. So he sent off to, he said, well, Budd has passed away now, but Dr. Jacobs has his tapes. He sent off and got the original tape where Budd had hypnotized me. He transcribed it out into the book. So when I started reading on it, it was shocking. I didn't even realize I was hypnotized. Then he sent me a copy of the tape disc, and I started listening to it. I went out and told my wife, I said, I didn't know I was hypnotized. I thought all that was just crazy bull. And I said, but I really was. Because I remember telling Budd, I got a friend standing here with a ball bat. I don't want to make a floor show like they do in Las Vegas out of this. Don't put nothing in my head that wasn't there. Don't add nothing to it or nothing like that. And he didn't. I listened to the whole tape. Now I remember everything exclusively in it.
What can you give us an example what you might have learned on the tape, from the tape?
Yes, sir. We went in details about the day of the abduction. There was actually a car out there that was parked, and I told the type of car it was and knew the tag number on the car. That's how detailed it was. And I just briefly seen it. And since then, I've looked the tag number up, and it actually belonged to a couple that was there, and they was parking. He has to see, she's in the nursing home right now, and I can't tell you which one, but she has kind of Alzheimer's coming in and out, but she remembers it well, and she don't want to be, nobody to know it. So I just went and I've kept it to myself. but I actually looked her up. That's how desperate I was, or just wanting to see if the hypnosis worked.
So what you're saying to us here is, for years and years we thought this was an abduction. The two guys are the only witnesses to it, you and Charlie Hickson.
Correct.
And now we're learning that there were other people who witnessed the thing and didn't come forward, and you've been able to find a number of these people.
Yes, sir. And it wouldn't surprise me if a few more come forward. Now, you know, everybody wants their 5 minutes of fame, I guess. Not me, but you know, a lot of people do. And it wouldn't surprise me if some come forward that really didn't even see it or something. But it wouldn't surprise me that some serious ones come forward. You know, my generation's dying off back then. We kind of leaving real quick. And I think everybody wants, kind of like me, they wanted a clear conscience when they go. And I want to know what's happened. I still don't know if they come from the moon or wherever they come from. I don't know if it was aliens, but I know something happened, and I know, you know, I remember what happened.
Real quickly, you said that you've had other sightings or other encounters. Was that correct?
Sir. In 1993, I did. And what it was, I was fishing, and I had a lot of missing time. And I went out. I was going to be home before dark, because after this happened, I didn't stay out past dark too much. So I got in my boat, and I went to Cat Island. It was 6 miles away. I told my wife, I said, I'll be back before it gets dark so I can see, you know, to come back across. And I remember getting my lunch out, laid it on a bench. And next thing I knew, it was 3 in the morning. Now, this was 11 o'clock probably that I was trying to eat my lunch. And I come back at 3 in the morning, and I didn't understand all this missing time. So I had a friend when I got back. I said, you know, the strangest thing happened. He said, look, I've been watching you. And he said, I know Budd Hopkins. I don't know him, but I know of him. And he's written a book on missing time. Let's go see him. Well, we was in Mississippi, a 12-hour drive to Florida where he was. And he was at I guess a convention or something there. I said, no, I'm not going in. I don't want to, you know, I don't want everybody to see me. They probably don't know me, and I don't really care if they do or not, but I don't want to get caught up in that mess. And he went in and he told Bud who I was, and Bud said, I'll meet y'all at my room in an hour. And that's where the hypnosis come around.
Yeah, I would imagine Bud would have been right out there to talk to you.
Oh, he did. It was shocking. And like I say, I didn't know him from anybody, but I come to find out later, he was a good man. I mean, he knew what was going on.
So this 1993 encounter, we don't have really time to go into it, but this was another abduction or another meeting with the aliens or something like that?
Yes, sir. Apparently it was. And I'd like to come back on the show one day and let's get back into it. And because this is another segment altogether.
I was going to say that, you know, we can do more about this other segment. Learn a little bit more about the subsequent abduction at another time. We can set something up like that. That's not a problem at all. I was going to ask you to come back, especially if I can get Philip to send me a copy of the book, so I can learn a little bit more about what your perspective was on this.
Yes, sir. That'd be great. It's all in the book, and you know you can read it.
You said you didn't stay in touch with Charlie Hickson after this, did you?
I seen Charlie. He asked me to go to Chicago. This is when I met Betty Hill. And he asked me to go to Chicago, that he was going to be on a talk show, and she was too. And I knew that if anybody was telling the truth, it was Betty Hill. And the reason I knew this, back in this time, day and time, a white woman didn't marry a black man. It was just unheard of. And if you got enough gumption about you to stand up and tell everybody, and everybody back in, you know, it was pretty strong. I said, that lady's got to be telling the truth.
She had some guts. There's no question about that.
Oh, she did. And I spent 3 or 4 days with her. I mean, she she was a great person, and it helped me to spend some time with her.
Helped you get through your trauma from the experience?
It did, and we went up on the mountain where she said they come all the time and all, but I've never seen another one. We've seen a couple of shooting stars. But what it did, it gave us time to talk and visit. And I was having a hard time believing myself, much less somebody else. But when I left her, I was 100% convinced that there's no doubt in my mind something happened to her and Barney.
Well, Calvin, I got to thank you for taking your time to visit with us today. It's been a real pleasure. And as I say, I'll stay in touch, and we'll see if we can get another one of these shows arranged where we can learn about your second experience. Good deal, and I thank you. And we'll get you a book from Philip over there, and we'll get back in another segment on it. Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, Calvin Parker. Thank you. Once again, I'll have stuff up on my blog, www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com. Maybe a little bit more information, other links of where to go to get additional information about this. Next time, with luck, I'm going to have Nick Pope on the program. And the reason I invited Nick on the program was an outgrowth of my discussion the last time with Christopher Montgomery, because people were saying about him that he was a shill for the Ministry of Defense. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about that, a little bit about how we've experienced those sorts of things, people attacking our reputations, our integrity, simply because they may not like our specific message. And I think what we have to point out is there are many of us who are more interested in the truth than expanding our own, ego, or expanding our own notoriety. We simply want to know what's going on. Take a look at Roswell in the 21st century, because it's a cold case examination of the Roswell case. Take a look at Encounters in the Desert, which is about the Lonnie Zamora sighting, and it'll tell you a little bit more. And as I say, I'll be back with another special edition of The Different Perspective with Nick Pope. Thank you.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.